The cry of the reed flute. Listen. Listen closely to the reed flute, how it tells its ancient tale, complaining of a deep, forgotten separation. It says, "Ever since they cut me from my quiet reed bed, my lament has caused every man, every woman to weep. I want a heart that has been torn open by severance, so that I may unfold before it the sweet burning pain of love's longing. Welcome, gentle traveler, to this sanctuary of the night." Close your eyes now. Let the heavy burdens of the day slide from your shoulders. You have walked far today. But here, in this quiet space, there is nothing left for you to do. There is nowhere else you need to be. Tonight, we embark on a slow, winding journey through ancient, silent stone archways and deep into the quiet chambers of the human soul. We walk the path of a man who lived 700 years ago, yet whose voice still whispers to us. Jalal al-Din Rumi, the great master of love, of loss, and of the ultimate return to the source. As you lie here, wrapped in the cool, soft sheets, let your breathing slow down. Inhale the quietness of the room, and exhale the busy thoughts of the day. Let your breath find its own natural rhythmic tide. And out. Rumi often spoke of the ney, the traditional reed flute of the mystics. He saw it not just as an instrument, but as a mirror of you and of me. Consider the reed. It begins its life in a quiet, green marsh, rooted deeply in the earth. It is whole, peaceful, and silent. But then one day the reed cutter comes. The reed is severed from its home. It is pulled from the earth, and a sharp knife is used to hollow it out. It is emptied of its inner pith, until it is nothing but a hollow wooden shell. To the world, this hollowing out looks like destruction. A great loss. But it is only because the reed is hollowed out, only because it is empty, that the breath of the musician can pass through it. It is only in its emptiness that it finds its voice. It is only through its hollow chambers that the most beautiful, heart-stirring music can be born. Perhaps you too have felt hollowed out at times. Perhaps you have felt the sharp edges of loss, of sadness, or of a quiet longing. If so, do not fear emptiness. Emptiness is not a void. It is a sacred vessel. It is the space where the divine breath can enter and play its beautiful song. Let the sound of the flute wash over you. Let it soothe the tired corners of your mind. As we begin our story, imagine yourself sitting under a vast canopy of stars. The desert air is cool and clean. A warm, golden fire crackles gently in front of you. And the ancient world opens its arms to welcome you. Imagine the scent carried on that cool desert breeze, perhaps the faint, sweet perfume of apricots from a distant oasis, or the subtle, earthy aroma of dry sand. Feel the gentle texture of a woven rug beneath you. The flames of the fire dance, casting long, shifting shadows that seem to tell their own silent tales on the ancient stone walls around you. This is the timeless setting for many a seeker's journey. A space where the veil between the ordinary and the profound becomes wonderfully thin. It is in such spaces that the wisdom of figures like Rumi truly comes alive, not as mere historical facts, but as living, breathing truths that resonate deep within our own yearning hearts. Rumi, born in the early 13th century, understood this longing profoundly. He understood the human heart's ache for connection, for meaning, for a return to something lost. His life was a testament to transformation, a journey from a respected scholar to a whirling, intoxicated mystic, a poet whose words flow like a river of pure love. His story is not just about him. It reflects the potential within each of us, the potential to be cracked open, to be emptied, and then to be filled with a grace that transcends understanding. Think of the journey of the reed. From its rooted existence in the earth to the dramatic severance, the pain of being uprooted, then the painstaking process of hollowing, of becoming empty. This journey mirrors the spiritual path, often marked by moments of profound disruption, of loss, of feeling utterly bereft. It is in these moments of hollowing out that we often resist most fiercely. We cling to our old forms, our old identities, our old comforts. But the wisdom of the Ney and of Rumi teaches us that this emptying is not an end. It is a sacred beginning. It is the necessary prelude to becoming a vessel for something far greater than ourselves. Consider the quiet wisdom of other souls throughout history who embraced their own forms of hollowing out. Think of the philosopher Socrates, who, through his relentless questioning, emptied the minds of his students of their preconceived notions, creating space for true wisdom to emerge. He taught not by filling, but by emptying, by showing what was not known, paving the way for genuine insight. Or think of the quiet, unassuming life of a desert anchorite, a hermit living in solitude. Their days stripped bare of worldly distractions. Their lives were a deliberate hollowing out, an emptying of the self to create an immense inner space, a vast, silent chamber where the voice of the divine could be heard with crystal clarity. They became living flutes, played by the breath of silence itself. Rumi's transformation was sparked by a profound encounter, a meeting with a wandering dervish named Shams of Tabriz. Shams was a wild, untamed spirit, a mirror that reflected Rumi's true, hidden self back to him. Before Shams, Rumi was a respected theologian, a teacher of great renown. After Shams, he became the intoxicated lover, the whirling dervish, the poet of divine madness. Shams was the reed cutter in Rumi's life. He shattered Rumi's carefully constructed world. He emptied Rumi of his scholarly pride, of his intellectual certainties. This was not a gentle process. It was a tempest, a fire that consumed all that was not truly Rumi. And from the ashes of that burning, a new Rumi emerged, a Rumi whose heart was torn open, whose soul sang with an unparalleled longing. Just like the Ney, imagine the cool mountain breeze of Konya, where Rumi spent much of his life, carrying the scent of cypress trees and the distant murmurs of the city. As the sun sets, painting the sky in hues of rose and violet, Rumi would often be found in a state of ecstatic dance, the sima, a whirling meditation. Each turn, each graceful movement was an emptying, a letting go, a surrender to the rhythm of the universe. His arms outstretched, one palm reaching to the heavens, the other to the earth. A conduit, a hollow reed through which divine grace flowed. The sound of the Ney would accompany these sacred dances, its melancholic lament weaving through the air, echoing the separation, the longing, and the ultimate reunion. It is a sound that bypasses the intellect and goes straight to the heart, a sonic balm for the soul. This journey we are taking tonight is not just a journey into Rumi's world, it is an invitation to explore your own inner landscape, to recognize the moments of hollowing out in your own life, not as tragedies to be avoided, but as sacred opportunities. Perhaps it was a relationship that ended, leaving an ache in your heart, or a dream that crumbled, leaving you feeling lost and directionless, or simply a quiet, persistent yearning for something more. These are the whispers of the reed, reminding you of your true home, calling you back to the source. Do not be afraid of the tears that may accompany such moments. Rumi speaks of them as precious. The wound is the place where the light enters you, he famously said. It is through these tender openings that compassion, understanding, and a profound sense of connection can flood in. The tears are not a sign of weakness, but a cleansing rain, preparing the ground for new growth, for new music to be played. Feel the warmth of the crackling fire, even if it is only in your imagination. Its gentle light illuminates the path, not a path of striving, but a path of surrender, a path of becoming, a path where every emptying is a preparation for a fuller filling. Consider the transformative power of silence. In our noisy world, silence can feel like an absence, a void. But for the mystics, silence is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility. It is the canvas upon which the divine speaks. It is the hollow space where true listening begins. Just as the Ney must be silent in its hollowing to eventually sing, we too must embrace moments of quietude, to truly hear the whispers of our own souls, to discern the subtle melodies of wisdom that are always present. As you drift deeper into relaxation, let the image of the hollow reed stay with you, a symbol of resilience, of transformation, of the profound beauty that can emerge from emptiness. You are not broken by the hollowing. You are being prepared. You are being tuned. The ancient parchment on which Rumi's words were first inscribed holds not just ink, but the very essence of this wisdom. It speaks of a love so vast, so encompassing, that it can mend all wounds, bridge all separations, and fill every hollow with its radiant presence. And so, as the night deepens, and the stars outside your window begin their slow, majestic dance across the heavens. Let the lament of the ney flute be a lullaby, not of sadness, but of sacred longing, a longing that connects you to every soul who has ever felt the ache of separation and the quiet hope of return. May you find peace in the hollowing, and may your own unique song, born of that sacred emptiness, begin to softly play. Chapter 1, The Child of Khorasan, 1207 to 1219. Our story begins in the year 1207, in a land known as Khorasan on the eastern edge of the ancient Persian Empire, in a beautiful, bustling city called Balkh, a place now nestled within the gentle embrace of modern Afghanistan. Balkh was a jewel of the Silk Road, a vibrant crossroads where east met west, and ideas flowed as freely as the cool mountain streams. It was a city where scholars, poets, merchants, and mystics from every corner of the known world met in the dappled shade of ancient willow trees, their leaves rustling like whispered secrets, to speak of the mysteries of the universe. It was here, in this fertile soil of wisdom, that a young boy was born, a soul destined to become a lighthouse for humanity. They named him Jalal al-Din, meaning the glory of the faith, a name that would one day echo through time, carrying the gentle resonance of divine love. His father, Bahauddin Walid, was a towering figure in his community, a renowned theologian, a deeply respected jurist, and a mystic in his own right. The people called him the Sultan of the Scholars, a title not of earthly power, but of spiritual authority. He taught religion not as rigid rules, but as a living relationship with the Creator, a dance of love and surrender. From his earliest days, the young Jalal al-Din breathed in this atmosphere of quiet contemplation. He would often sit quietly in the corner of his father's study, watching the golden dust motes dance like tiny stars in the shafts of sunlight. He absorbed not just the words, but the profound reverence with which they were handled. Jalal al-Din was a quiet, sensitive child, his inner world already vast and deep. It was said that even as a young boy, he had a deep, intuitive understanding of things that lay far beyond his years, a connection to a deeper current of existence. He saw the unity in diversity, the sacred in the mundane, the infinite in the smallest leaf. But the peaceful, scholarly world of Balkh was not to last. The delicate balance of their existence was about to be disrupted by a discordant, violent storm. Far to the east, across the high steppes, a dark storm was gathering. The Mongol hordes, led by the formidable Genghis Khan, were advancing like a devastating wave. City after city was falling, their high walls crumbled to dust, their vibrant life extinguished. Bahauddin Walid, with his sharp intellect and profound spiritual foresight, saw the writing on the wall. He knew that the peaceful life they had built in Balkh was coming to an end. And so, sometime around the year 1212, when Jalal al-Din was just a young boy of 5 or 6, the family made the painful decision to leave. A heart-wrenching choice to abandon the familiar comfort of home for the uncertain path of exile. They packed what few belongings they could carry, their precious books, their warm wool robes, their simple provisions, and they turned their backs on their beloved home. Imagine the scene unfolding before your inner eye. A long, slow caravan of camels and donkeys, their gentle bells jingling a soft, rhythmic tune winding its way out of the gates of Balkh. The young Jalal al-Din is sitting on the back of a camel, its immense form swaying gently. He looks back one last time at the turquoise domes of his childhood city, now shimmering like distant mirages in the setting sun, watching them shrink and fade into the dusty horizon, becoming a memory, even as he gazes. A poignant farewell to the only home he had ever known. They became wanderers, refugees of the desert. Their home now the vast, open expanse of the world, their path guided by the sun and the stars. This wasn't merely a flight from danger. It was a profound spiritual undertaking, a pilgrimage forced by circumstance, but embraced with an inner knowing. For years, the family traveled westward, ahead of the advancing shadow of the Mongol army. They traveled through the bustling marketplaces of Samarkand, across the vast, empty plains of Persia, through the ancient storied streets of Baghdad, and up into the high, rocky mountains of Anatolia. Each step was a lesson, each landscape a page in an unfolding story. This long, slow migration became Rumi's first great school, a university without walls where the curriculum was life itself. The classroom was the open desert, stretching infinitely in every direction, teaching humility and perspective. The textbook was the starry night sky, a cosmic canvas revealing the boundless mysteries of creation. This journey, though arduous, forged a deep resilience within the young boy, a profound connection to the elemental forces of existence. Every day, they would walk for miles under the burning sun, and every night they would pitch their simple wool tents under a dome of stars so bright and clear they looked like spilled diamonds on black velvet. The desert nights were cold and silent, a deep, profound silence that invited introspection, that stripped away the superficial and revealed the essence. In that silence, the young boy learned to listen, not just with his ears, but with his entire being. He listened to the steady, rhythmic crunch of sand underfoot. He listened to the soft, breathing sighs of the camels. He listened to his father's gentle voice, reciting verses of the Quran, each word a balm for the soul, or sharing the ancient stories of the Sufi masters by the low embers of the fire. These weren't mere stories. They were keys to understanding the universe, parables of love, wisdom, and the human spirit's quest for truth. It was during this long journey, according to a beautiful legend, that the family passed through the fabled city of Nishapur, a city renowned for its poets and mystics. There they met the great aging Sufi poet Farid al-Din Attar, a name synonymous with spiritual depth and literary brilliance. Attar was a master of the spiritual path. When the old poet, his eyes holding the wisdom of countless sunrises and sunsets, saw Bahauddin Walid walking down the dusty street, his presence radiating quiet dignity, with the young Jalal al-Din walking quietly a few steps behind him, he stopped. He stared at the young boy with wise, tear-filled eyes, recognizing a soul of extraordinary light, a future beacon. And he whispered, his voice raspy with age but clear with prophetic insight, "Here comes a sea," followed by an ocean. A profound pronouncement foretelling the immeasurable depth and breadth of the young boy's spiritual destiny. Attar, with a gesture imbued with ancient grace, reached into his heavy wool sleeve and pulled out a precious gift. A copy of his revered book, the Asrarnama, the Book of Secrets. He placed it into the small, eager hands of the young Jalal Din, his touch a silent blessing, his gaze conveying a deep, unspoken understanding. He blessed him, predicting that the boy would one day light a fire of divine love that would warm the hearts of the entire world. A flame that would never be extinguished, a light that would guide countless souls home. The young boy held the book close to his chest, its weight a tangible connection to a lineage of wisdom, its pages holding the promise of a journey yet to unfold. This encounter, brief yet transformative, etched itself onto the fabric of his being, a sacred memory that would resonate through his life. As you listen to this, let your own mind drift like that desert caravan. Feel the slow, swaying rhythm of the journey, the gentle movement of time itself. There is no rush. There is no destination you need to reach tonight. Only the soft unfolding of this story. You are simply drifting, step by step, breath by breath, across the quiet, peaceful sands of time, allowing your thoughts to become as light as the desert air, your worries to dissipate like morning mist. Let the imagery of ancient balk, the scent of spices, the starlit desert sky, the gentle wisdom of the Sufi masters lull you into a state of deep, profound peace. Sinking deeper into the quiet embrace of slumber. After years of wandering, of sleeping under temporary tents and crossing endless windswept plains, the family of Bahauddin Walid finally found a place of rest, a haven for their weary souls. In 1228, their long pilgrimage culminated in their arrival in Konya, nestled serenely in the heart of Anatolia, a city that would become not merely a stopping point, but a profound crucible, where a young scholar would be transformed into one of humanity's most luminous voices. At that time, Anatolia was governed by the benevolent Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. The word Rum itself was a whisper from the past, derived from the echoes of the Eastern Roman Empire. It is a beautiful irony that this ancient name would forever link itself to the destiny of a Persian poet. Because Jalal al-Din would spend the entirety of his remaining life rooted in this cherished region, he would forever be known to the world as Rumi, the one from the land of Rum, a timeless designation that speaks of belonging and rootedness. Konya itself was a vision of tranquility and prosperity, a jewel embraced by the earth. It was protected by high white stone walls that gleamed faintly in the sun, and surrounded by fertile green valleys, adorned with vibrant vineyards and orchards heavy with the promise of sweet apricots and succulent plums. Under the wise and generous rule of the Seljuk Sultan, Ala-ud-Din Kekobad, Konya had blossomed into a vibrant sanctuary, a beacon of hope and learning for artists, scholars, and mystics who had been forced to flee the relentless, devastating tides of the Mongol invasions. It was a true haven, a quiet harbor in a world tossed by storms, a place where the soul could breathe again. The Sultan himself, a man of deep culture and profound respect for wisdom, welcomed Rumi's father with immense honor and reverence. He understood the precious gift that Baha'u'ddin Walad represented, a living fountain of spiritual knowledge. To honor him, the Sultan commissioned the construction of a beautiful madrasa, a college of higher learning, a place of quiet contemplation and rigorous study. Here, the great scholar could teach his eager students, sharing his deep spiritual insights, his vast knowledge, and his gentle guidance. It was a testament to the Sultan's vision, to create a sanctuary, not just for bodies, but for minds and spirits. For the young Rumi, now a blossoming young man in his early 20s, Konya was more than just a new home. It was a fertile ground for intellectual and spiritual blossoming, a golden age of discovery. He threw himself into his studies with an insatiable hunger for truth. He mastered the lyrical intricacies of the Arabic and Persian languages, committing to memory the sacred verses of the Quran. He delved deep into the complexities of Islamic jurisprudence, the profound questions of theology, the intricate webs of philosophy, the sweeping narratives of history, and the precise observations of the classical sciences. Each book opened a new universe, each lesson a new path into understanding. But Rumi was not merely a scholar of books. He was, at his core, a disciple of the heart, a seeker of something beyond the rational and the logical. He sensed, perhaps intuitively, that true wisdom resided in a deeper chamber of existence. In 1231, when Rumi was only 24 years old, a profound shadow fell upon his life. His beloved father, his first teacher, his guiding star, passed away. It was a loss that echoed through the very foundations of his being. In a sudden, unexpected turn of fate, Rumi inherited his father's revered position as the head of the madrasa. Overnight, this young man, still grappling with his grief, was thrust into the weighty role of a spiritual leader, a teacher of hundreds of students, and a respected jurist who issued legal opinions and delivered eloquent sermons in the grand, echoing mosques of Konya. He wore the fine, flowing robes of a traditional Islamic scholar. He wore a large, white turban, meticulously wrapped, a symbol of his knowledge and authority. He walked through the bustling streets of Konya with dignified, serious air, his presence commanding respect, always surrounded by his devoted disciples and the quiet reverence of the entire city. He was, by all outward measures, an accomplished, successful man, a pillar of the community, a figure of impeccable reputation and profound influence. Yet deep inside, in the quiet, hidden chambers of his heart, there was a growing hunger, a faint, persistent whisper that spoke of something more, a sense that there was a deeper truth that lay far beyond the meticulously categorized pages of his dry law books and the intricate arguments of theological treatises. It was a yearning for the ineffable, for the essence that eluded definition, a quiet disquietude beneath the calm surface of his outwardly perfect life. It was during this time of gentle searching, of an unarticulated longing, that a man of profound wisdom and quiet humility arrived in Konya, a man named Sayyid Burhan-ud-Din Muhakkik of Tirmidh. Burhan-ud-Din had been a beloved and devoted disciple of Rumi's father back in their ancestral home of Balkh. He had known Rumi when Rumi was just a small child. He carried within him the living legacy of Baha'u'ddin Walad's inner teachings. When Burhan-ud-Din saw the young scholar, now a respected figure in his own right, He looked into Rumi's eyes with a gaze that saw beyond the robes and the turban, beyond the accolades and the scholarly reputation. He saw the nascent longing, the unlit flame. He said to him, with a voice that was both gentle and firm, "My dear Jalal al-Din, you have inherited your father's vast knowledge. You are undeniably a master of the outer sciences. But remember, your father was also a profound master of the inner sciences, the esoteric path of the heart. You must now seek that deeper knowledge, the knowledge that transforms the soul." It was a call to a different kind of journey, a pilgrimage inward. For 9 transformative years, Rumi, with a humility that belied his public standing, placed himself under the strict yet profoundly loving guidance of Burhanuddin. He embarked upon the ancient path of Sufism, a path of rigorous self-discipline, of spiritual purification, of long nights of fasting that emptied the body to fill the soul, of fervent, heartfelt prayer that dissolved the boundaries between self and divine, and of deep, silent contemplation that unveiled the hidden truths within. Each day was a step deeper into the mystery, each practice a shedding of the superfluous. Burhanuddin, with his profound wisdom, understood that true spiritual growth often required the dismantling of ego. He taught Rumi the profound importance of humility, the sacred art of becoming small so that something greater could emerge. He would have this highly respected scholar, revered by kings and nobles, perform the most menial tasks, tasks that would normally be beneath someone of his stature. Rumi, who was accustomed to intellectual discourse and public acclaim, would spend his days cleaning the simple, unadorned quarters of the Sufi lodge. He would collect firewood from the cool, silent hills surrounding Konya. And he would cook simple lentil soup for the poor, hungry travelers who sought refuge at their door, his heart expanding with each act of selfless service. Through these simple, humble acts, Rumi began a profound process of hollowing himself out. A deliberate emptying. He began to let go of his pride, his academic vanity, the subtle allure of intellectual superiority, and his deep-seated attachment to his social status. He was becoming like the reed flute, empty, cleansed, waiting for the divine breath of the musician, for the sacred melody to flow through him. His worldly achievements, once so central, began to recede, revealing the vast open space within. In 1240, after completing his sacred mission, Burhanuddin passed away. His work was complete, his purpose fulfilled. He had, with unwavering dedication and profound insight, prepared the vessel. He had polished the mirror of Rumi's heart until it was bright and clean, reflecting not just the world, but the divine light that permeated all existence. His departure marked the end of one chapter and the quiet anticipation of another. Rumi returned to his teaching in Konya, now more respected than ever. His presence radiated a new kind of authority, a quiet power that stemmed not from books alone, but from a profound inner transformation. He was now a master of both the outer law and the inner path, a rare embodiment of both exoteric knowledge and esoteric wisdom. He was a man of perfect balance, of quiet wisdom that resonated in every word, and a flawless reputation that now held an even deeper resonance. But the true fire had not yet been lit. The spark had been placed, the tinder prepared, but the blaze that would illuminate the world was still waiting for the right moment, for the touch of a kindred spirit. As you listen to this gentle narrative, let your own heart find its refuge in the quiet stillness. Feel the quiet stability of Konya, a place of peace and profound growth. Feel the safety of a harbor after a long, stormy voyage, knowing that your own journey has brought you to this moment of calm. Breathe in the cool, clean air of the mountains, letting it fill your lungs and soothe your spirit. And let yourself rest, deeply and completely, allowing the stories of the past to guide you into a state of profound tranquility. It was the 15th of November in the year 1244, a date etched not just in the annals of history, but in the very fabric of spiritual awakening. The autumn air in Konya was crisp and cool, carrying the faint, sweet scent of burning wood and late-blooming jasmine. Golden leaves of plane trees drifted down onto the graystone streets. Rumi was riding his donkey through the busy marketplace of Konya, surrounded by his devoted students and followers. At this zenith of his career, Rumi was a picture of scholarly dignity, his robes flowing gracefully, his eyes reflecting deep wisdom cultivated through years of study. Suddenly, a strange figure stepped out from the bustling crowd, blocking Rumi's path with an almost ethereal presence. The world around them seemed to momentarily blur, all other sounds fading into a muted hum. This man was a wandering dervish, a soul untethered by worldly possessions. He wore a patched, dusty black felt cloak. His hair was wild and unkempt, and his beard, long and gray, flowed like a silent river. But it was his eyes that truly stopped Rumi in his tracks. Eyes of intense burning fire. Eyes that held the universe within their depths, yet pierced through all superficiality. Looking straight through Rumi's flesh and bone, deep into the very core of his soul. This man, this solitary flame, was Shams Tabrizi, Shams of Tabriz, his name a whisper of dawn and twilight, a promise of illumination. Shams had traveled the length and breadth of the vast Islamic world, a solitary seeker, driven by an insatiable hunger. He was searching for a spiritual companion, a soul twin, one who could truly see him and be seen by him. He had prayed to God, "O Lord, show me one of your hidden saints, someone who can endure my company, someone with whom I can share the burning secrets of your love." And a voice, not of the ear but of the heart, had answered him, "Go to Konya, go to Jalal ad-Din." The message was clear, unmistakable. With an unwavering certainty, Shams stepped forward, his hand reaching out to grasp the bridle of Rumi's donkey. A symbolic gesture of halting the flow of conventional life. He looked up at the great scholar, his fiery eyes locking with Rumi's, and he asked a single shocking question. A question designed to shatter the comfortable edifice of Rumi's intellectual world. "Tell me, master of Konya, who was greater, the Prophet Muhammad or the Sufi master Bayezid Bastami?" To a casual listener, this question sounded like sheer blasphemy, for the Prophet Muhammad was unequivocally the ultimate messenger of God, while Bayezid Bastami was a mystic known for his ecstatic utterances, often bordering on the unconventional. But Rumi, with his brilliant intellect, refined by years of profound study and imbued with an innate spiritual sensitivity, understood the deep spiritual trap of the question. He saw beyond the surface, recognizing the profound intent behind Shams's audacious inquiry. He knew this was not a test of religious dogma, but a probing of spiritual depth. He answered, his voice calm yet resonant. The Prophet Muhammad was infinitely greater. For Muhammad was a vast ocean, boundless, immeasurable. No matter how much divine knowledge, how many revelations, how much of God's infinite truth poured into his heart, he was never satisfied. He always cried out, in humility and profound yearning, "O Lord, increase my knowledge." But Bayezid was a small vessel, a precious, exquisite cup perhaps, but still finite. With just one drop of the divine wine, one taste of that intoxicating essence, he became filled, overwhelmed, and he cried out in his ecstasy, "Glory be to me, how great is my majesty! There is none other God but me." Muhammad remained a humble servant, always thirsty for more of the divine, forever expanding to contain the infinite. While Bayezid, in his profound and beautiful experience, was for a moment overwhelmed by his own small experience of that immensity. When Shams heard this answer, a wave of recognition, of profound understanding, washed over his face. His eyes, which had burned with intense inquiry, now lit up with a brilliant, joyful smile. He let out a loud cry of ecstasy, a sound born of pure, unadulterated spiritual triumph, and he fell to his knees, not in supplication, but in profound gratitude and recognition. He had found him, he had found the one, the singular soul, with whom he could truly share the burning secrets of divine love. Rumi, without a moment's hesitation, dismounted from his donkey, his scholarly dignity momentarily forgotten, replaced by an intuitive pull. And he fell into the arms of the strange dervish, embracing him not as a stranger, but as a long-lost part of himself. The hagiographers call this momentous meeting Marj al-Bahrain, the meeting of the two oceans. It was not merely an encounter between two men, but the collision of two vast spiritual forces. The intellectual brilliance of Rumi, and the ecstatic, burning love of Shams, a wildfire of pure devotion. From that moment on, Rumi's life, as he had known it, was completely shattered, irrevocably transformed. The carefully constructed edifice of his scholarly existence, the comfortable routine, all crumbled in the face of this overwhelming, incandescent love. He did not return to his madrasa. He did not return to his precious books. His lectures, his sermons, all faded into insignificance. Instead, with a quiet, profound conviction, he took Shams by the hand, and they locked themselves away in a small, quiet room in the house of one of Rumi's devoted disciples. For 40 days and 40 nights, a sacred period of intense transformation. They remained in complete seclusion. The world outside ceased to exist for them. They did not eat, sustained only by the nourishment of their souls. They did not sleep, their spirits awake and alive in the boundless ocean of divine presence. They did not speak to anyone else. They sat face to face, eye to eye, heart to heart, their beings merging, their souls intertwined in a dance of profound recognition and mutual awakening. The air in that small room must have crackled with an almost unbearable intensity. What truly happened in that small room? What profound secrets did they share? No one knows. The hagiographers can only whisper that they spoke of things that cannot be written in books, things that lie far beyond the reach of human language. They were engaged in sobet, the sacred spiritual conversation, a dialogue not of words but of souls, a communion so deep that it transcended all conventional forms of communication. Through Shams, Rumi did not learn new facts or new rules. He did not acquire more intellectual knowledge. Instead, he learned to unlearn. He learned to shed the layers of accumulated wisdom, the protective shell of his scholarly identity. Shams, with his radical, untamed spiritual insight, challenged every attachment Rumi had. He once took Rumi's precious books, the books his revered father had written, the books Rumi had studied his whole life, and with a gesture both shocking and profoundly symbolic, he threw them into a well. When Rumi cried out in distress, Shams, with a knowing smile, reached into the murky water and pulled the books out. And to Rumi's astonishment, they were completely dry. Shams looked at him, his fiery eyes now gentle, compassionate, yet unwavering, and said, "If you want to live in the fire of love, you must leave the dry paper behind. You must abandon the mere symbols, the intellectual constructs. You must find the living water within yourself, the wellspring of true, unmediated truth." It was a lesson in letting go. Rumi began to see that Shams was not just a man. Shams was a window, a clear, flawless window through which the pure, unadulterated light of the divine was pouring. A perfect mirror reflecting the face of God. In loving Shams, in surrendering to his radical wisdom, Rumi was learning, perhaps for the very first time, to love the divine without reservation. In surrendering to Shams, Rumi was, in the deepest sense, surrendering to God, allowing the divine will to reshape his very being. The respected scholar of Konya, the esteemed professor, the pillar of the community, was gone. He had dissolved, like a drop of ink in the vast ocean. In his place, a wild, ecstatic lover of the divine was being born. A poet whose words would flow like rivers of fire and light, a dancer whose every movement would echo the celestial dance, a voice that would sing the song of universal love for all eternity. As you sleep tonight, my dear friend, let go of your own books. Let go of your need to understand, to analyze, to figure everything out. Release the weight of your thoughts, your worries, your plans. Let your mind become empty and quiet, like that small room in Konya, cleansed of all distractions, where there is nothing but the silent, warm presence of love, the gentle thrum of your own heart, and the quiet, luminous wisdom that awaits you in the deepest chambers of your being. Allow yourself to simply be, to float in the vast, boundless ocean of peace that surrounds and permeates you. Yet, the incandescent, all-consuming friendship that blossomed between Jalal ad-Din Rumi, the esteemed scholar, and Shams of Tabriz, the wandering dervish, was a mystery too profound for the bustling, ordinary rhythms of Konya to comprehend. The very air of the city began to carry whispers of discontent. The disciples of Rumi, who had long revered him as their dignified, serious teacher, now felt a chilling sense of abandonment. They watched, bewildered and hurt, as their beloved master began to neglect his classes. He refused to give sermons, the light in his eyes reserved for another. He spent his precious hours, days, weeks locked away, in deep communion with this strange, unkempt, wandering dervish, a man who seemed to have arrived from the very edges of the known world, carrying nothing but a tattered cloak and an unyielding gaze. They saw their position, their closeness to Rumi, usurped, and in the quiet, shadowed corners of their hearts, a seed of jealousy took root, growing. Deeply, profoundly jealous. It was a green-eyed monster, this jealousy, that began to twist their perceptions. They started to weave dark narratives in the narrow, sun-dappled streets. They called Shams a sorcerer, a madman whose words were not of God but of some darker, earthly magic. A heretic, they whispered, who had cast an unholy spell over their revered master, drawing him away from his true path, away from them. Their fear curdled into resentment, and resentment into menace. They began to threaten Shams, their words like stones thrown in the night, making his life in Konya increasingly dangerous. The whispers growing louder, more insistent, like the rustling of dry leaves before a storm. Shams, with his profound intuition, could sense the gathering storm. He understood the precariousness of their sacred bond, the fragile nature of human acceptance. He saw the trouble his presence was unwittingly causing, the discord he was sowing, not through malice, but through the sheer intensity of his being. And so, with the quiet dignity of one who truly understands sacrifice, he made a sudden, heartbreaking decision. In the tender, hopeful embrace of the spring of 1246, without a word, without a warning, he simply disappeared. He gathered his few meager belongings, a small, worn bundle, and slipped out of the sleeping city under the cloak of a moonless night, leaving behind only the ghost of his presence and the indelible mark on Rumi's soul. When Rumi awoke that morning, the world seemed to hold its breath. He reached out, expecting to find his companion, his soul mirror, beside him, but found only an empty space, a void, a chilling absence. When the realization dawned, when the truth of Shams's departure settled upon him like a heavy stone, his heart was not merely broken. It shattered into a million fragments, each one echoing with an unbearable pain. He fell into a state of profound, devastating grief, a sorrow so deep it seemed to swallow the very light from the world. He retreated into the silent sanctuary of his room, the outside world a distant, meaningless hum. He wept, tears flowing like a river, refusing to see anyone, refusing to be consoled. The vibrant hues of life, the rich tapestry of existence, had dulled to a monochromatic gray. The light, the very essence of joy and understanding that Shams had ignited within him, had seemingly gone out of his world, leaving behind only an echoing darkness. Witnessing their master's profound sadness, a sorrow so absolute it permeated the very walls of their madrasa, the disciples finally began to comprehend the true gravity of their actions, the destructive power of their jealousy. The weight of their error, like a sudden, unexpected burden, pressed down upon them. A wave of collective repentance washed over them, chilling them to the bone. They came, humbled and contrite, to Rumi's door, their voices hushed, their eyes downcast, begging for his forgiveness, for a release from the gnawing guilt that had begun to consume them. Rumi, in his boundless compassion, heard their pleas, and then a flicker of hope, a whisper carried on the wind, reached him. Shams had been spotted in the ancient storied city of Damascus. A fragile hope ignited within Rumi's wounded heart. He immediately dispatched his eldest son, Sultan Walad, a young man of gentle spirit and unwavering loyalty, to embark on the arduous journey to find him. To aid in this sacred quest, Rumi poured his aching heart onto parchment, crafting a beautiful, pleading letter in verse, each line a testament to his love, each word a desperate prayer, begging Shams, his beloved, his other self, to return. Sultan Walad, driven by filial devotion and a yearning to heal his father's broken spirit, traversed the rugged landscapes and dusty roads, his heart alight with purpose. He eventually found Shams amidst the ancient stones and vibrant markets of Damascus. With persuasive words and the undeniable weight of Rumi's love, he convinced Shams to return to Konya. And so the journey back began, a journey filled with unspoken anticipation. When Rumi, standing on the outskirts of the city, saw Shams riding into Konya, his silhouette slowly growing clearer against the horizon, his heart soared. He ran, not walked, but ran, his robes flowing behind him, to meet his beloved friend, They met in a silent, tearful embrace, falling to the dusty ground, weeping openly, unashamedly, in a communion of souls reunited. For a brief, precious time, the sun, it seemed, shone on Konya once more, its golden light bathing the city in a renewed warmth, a temporary respite from the shadows. But the seeds of jealousy, though momentarily dormant, had not truly died. They lay hidden, waiting for the slightest tremor, the smallest shift in the delicate balance. It was only a matter of time, a cruel inevitability, before the whispers, like venomous serpents, and the veiled threats, like unseen daggers, began again, slithering back into the consciousness of the city, poisoning the air with their insidious presence. The peace was fragile, a delicate glass that threatened to shatter. And then, on the night of December 5th, in the year 1248, a date etched forever in the annals of spiritual history, the final, most devastating blow fell. Rumi and Shams were seated together, as they so often were, in their quiet room, bathed in the soft glow of a single oil lamp, its flickering flame casting dancing shadows on the walls. They spoke of the deepest mysteries of divine love, of the secrets of the cosmos, their voices hushed, their souls intertwined in a timeless conversation. Suddenly, a voice, sharp and urgent, called out from the back door, cut through the peaceful silence, asking specifically for Shams. A chilling premonition, a cold breath of fate, seemed to sweep through the room. Shams, with an almost otherworldly calm, stood up. He turned to Rumi, his eyes holding a profound depth of understanding, a quiet, knowing smile gracing his lips, a smile that held both sorrow and acceptance. He whispered, his voice barely audible, yet resonating with an eternal truth, "They are calling me to my death." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning, a prophecy whispered into the heart of his beloved. He walked out into the dark, star-dusted courtyard, the chill night air embracing him. And he was never seen again. The silence that followed his departure was not merely an absence of sound, but a gaping wound in the fabric of existence. The stories, as they always do with such profound events, vary. Some say he was brutally murdered by a group of jealous disciples. Their envy finally erupted into violence. Among them, tragically, some whispered, was even Rumi's own younger son, Ala-ud-Din, lost to the darkness of his own resentments. Some say his body was hastily buried in a shallow, forgotten well. Others, preferring a more mystical narrative, suggest that Shams, the ultimate wanderer, simply stepped into the deeper shadows of the night, dissolving into the vastness, vanishing into the unseen, a true dervish returning to the boundless road, leaving no trace but a legend. Whatever the fragmented, elusive truth, the physical presence of Shams, his vibrant, challenging, transformative being, was gone forever from Rumi's side. The world had irrevocably shifted on its axis. Rumi, however, in the depths of his being, refused to accept that Shams was truly dead, that such a light could be extinguished. For months, a desolate vigil, he waited by the door, his gaze fixed on the path, his heart yearning for a glimpse, a sign. He traveled to Damascus not once, but twice, retracing Sultan Walad's journey, walking the busy, labyrinthine streets, his eyes scanning every face in the bustling souks, his voice, hoarse with longing, asking every traveler, every merchant, every passerby, if they had seen his beloved friend, his spiritual guide, his very soul's reflection. But there was no trace, no whisper, no echo, only the vast, echoing silence of absence. It was during this time of intense, agonizing grief, in the crucible of separation, a forge that burns away all but the purest essence, something truly miraculous, something utterly transformative, began to unfold within the depths of Rumi's being. Slowly, gently, like the dawning of a new day after a long night, Rumi began to realize that his fervent, desperate search for Shams in the physical world was a profound mistake. Shams was not merely a body, a transient form. Shams was a light, a radiant, eternal flame of divine wisdom and love. And that light, he understood with a sudden, breathtaking clarity, was no longer outside of him, a separate entity to be sought. It was within. One day, in the ancient, sun-drenched alleys of Damascus, amidst the clamor of the market and the murmur of life, as he was once again searching, his heart heavy with longing, Rumi stopped. He placed his hand over his heart, feeling the steady rhythm of life within, and then a gentle, profound smile, born of a revelation so deep it transcended all sorrow, spread across his face. He looked up at the vast, indifferent sky and then inward into the boundless expanse of his own soul. He whispered, his voice soft, filled with a newfound peace. "Why should I seek him? I am the same as he. His soul speaks through me. I was searching for myself. The words were not a lament, but a declaration, a sacred truth unveiled." The profound, searing experience of separation had, in its own paradoxical way, dissolved the illusion of duality, the false belief that he and Shams were two distinct entities. Rumi had finally realized, with the full force of his being, that the beloved he was searching for, the divine essence he adored, was actually alive, vibrant, and eternally present within his own breast, within the very core of his being. Shams had not left. He had simply merged, becoming an inseparable part of Rumi's own spiritual landscape. And from that breathtaking realization, from that profound understanding of unity, a torrent of poetry, a river of ecstatic verses, began to pour from Rumi's soul, like a spring bubbling forth from the earth after a long drought. It was as if Shams's voice, his very spirit, had found its new vessel, its eternal echo. He did not consciously sit down to write these poems with a pen. Instead, the verses flowed through him, an unstoppable current. As he walked through the bustling streets of Konya, or as he spun, lost in a trance of grief and divine ecstasy, around the wooden pillars of his house, his movements a dance of sorrow and joy, he would recite these verses of incandescent beauty, words shimmering with universal truth and boundless love. His devoted disciples, recognizing the sacred outpouring, would follow him, their hearts filled with awe, hurriedly writing down his inspired words on whatever they could find, on scraps of parchment, on pieces of leather, on smooth, broad leaves gathered from the nearby trees. Each line, each stanza, a precious jewel, salvaged from the torrent. These countless, luminous poems, a testament to a love that transcended all earthly bounds, were meticulously collected and compiled into a monumental work, a literary and spiritual edifice known as the Divani Shams of Tabrizi, the collected poems of Shams of Tabriz. In an act of profound humility, a gesture of complete and utter devotion, Rumi did not sign his own name to these poems, did not claim authorship for himself. Instead, with every single verse, every single ode to divine love, he signed them with the name of his lost friend, his eternal beloved Shams. It was more than just a dedication. It was a beautiful, radical act of complete self-annihilation, of ego transcendence. Rumi had emptied himself so completely, had dissolved his individual identity so utterly into the essence of his beloved, that he had become, truly and profoundly, the living voice of Shams, a vessel for the divine. As you rest tonight, nestled in the quiet embrace of your own sanctuary, remember this profound truth. The things we love, the people who touch our lives, the moments of exquisite beauty that imprint themselves upon our hearts, they are never truly lost, never truly gone. The connections we forge, the love we share, the wisdom we gain, they do not exist only outside of us, fleeting and ephemeral. No, they are woven into the very fabric of our being, becoming an intrinsic part of who we are. They live on, vibrant and eternal, in the sacred chambers of our hearts, in the shimmering tapestry of our memories, in the quiet, hallowed spaces of our souls, a timeless presence that defies separation. Close your eyes now gently. Let go of any lingering pain of separation, any sorrow that clings to the edges of your awareness. And allow yourself to rest deeply and peacefully in the beautiful, comforting truth of unity. The knowledge that all is connected, all is one. Years passed, and the wild, ecstatic fire of Rumi's grief began to mature into a deep, quiet ocean of wisdom. The raw, searing pain of loss transformed into a vast, still reservoir of understanding. The fierce winds of sorrow had scoured his soul clean, leaving a receptive surface capable of reflecting profound truths. Rumi was no longer the wild dervish spinning in the streets of Konya. He had become a spiritual father to a growing community of seekers. His steps held a measured, grounded grace. His eyes radiated a profound compassion, drawing weary souls to his presence. He found a new companion, a beloved disciple named Husam al-Din Shalabi. Husam al-Din was a young man of great devotion and gentleness. His spirit was like a clear, flowing stream, reflecting wisdom without distortion. He possessed a rare humility, a profound capacity for listening, and unwavering loyalty. He was the one who would help Rumi bring his greatest masterpiece into the world. One day, as they were walking through the sun-drenched vineyards of Konya, Husam al-Din spoke to Rumi. He said, "Master, you have written thousands of ecstatic poems in the Divan of Shams. But our disciples need a guide. They need a book that combines the deep, spiritual truths of Sufism with practical stories, parables, and lessons. A lamp to light their way." Rumi smiled, a knowing, gentle smile. He reached into his turban and pulled out a small, folded scrap of paper. He handed it to Husam al-Din. On it, in Rumi's distinctive, flowing script, he had written the first 18 lines of what would become his epic masterpiece. The Masnavi, the spiritual couplets. These 18 lines were the story of the reed flute, the ney, which we listened to at the beginning of our journey, the hollowed cane, cut from its riverbank home, lamenting its separation from its origin, yet through its lament becoming a conduit for divine music, a voice for the voiceless yearning within all creation. Rumi said to Husam al-Din, "If you are willing to write, I am willing to speak." It was an invitation to a sacred dance, a divine collaboration. And so a beautiful sacred partnership began, one that transcended the ordinary boundaries of teacher and student, becoming a seamless intertwining of two souls in service of a higher purpose. For the next 15 years of Rumi's life, the writing of the Masnavi was their constant work. It was the heartbeat of their days and nights. They would work in the quiet hours of the night. When the rest of Konya was asleep, Rumi and Husam al-Din would sit in a small room, lit only by the warm, flickering flame of a single oil lamp. The only sounds were the gentle crackle of the lamp's wick, the rustle of parchment, and the rhythmic scratching of a reed pen. Rumi would walk slowly around the room, his hands clasped behind his back, his eyes half closed in a state of deep, meditative focus. He would begin to speak, and his words would flow like a gentle, endless river of poetry, always imbued with profound wisdom and tender compassion. Husam al-Din would sit on the floor, his inkwell open, his reed pen flying across the thick handmade paper. He would write down every word, every syllable, with absolute devotion. Sometimes the poetry would flow so fast that Husam al-Din could barely keep up, his hand cramping, his mind racing to absorb and transcribe the torrent of divine inspiration. Sometimes they would work through the entire night until the cold blue of the dawn began to paint the high windows of the room. And sometimes Rumi would stop. He would stand in silence by the window, looking out at the sleeping city, lost in a deep spiritual contemplation. Husam al-Din would wait quietly, his pen poised, breathing in the sacred silence of the room, understanding that these moments of stillness were as vital as the flowing words. The Masnavi grew, book by book, volume by volume, until it consisted of 6 massive volumes and over 25,000 verses of poetry. A veritable ocean of wisdom, deep and boundless. It was a monumental tapestry of spiritual wisdom. Rumi wove together stories from the Quran, lives of the prophets, ancient folklore, philosophical treatises, and deeply personal, mystical insights. He spoke of kings and beggars, lovers and ascetics, animals and plants, each story a mirror reflecting a facet of the human soul's journey. But the core message of the Masnavi was always the same. It was the story of the soul's journey back to its source, the longing of the drop for the ocean. It was a guide on how to empty ourselves of our small, limited egos, so that we can be filled with the infinite light of divine love. A love that is our true nature, our eternal home. Rumi often compared the human condition to a prisoner in a dark tower. The prisoner thinks the tower is the whole world. They are attached to their small cell, their simple rations, their daily routines. They do not know that just outside the window, if only they dared to look, there is a vast, beautiful world of green fields, flowing rivers, and endless sunshine. A world of boundless freedom and intoxicating beauty. The Masnavi was Rumi's way of showing us the window, of gently, lovingly whispering to us that we are not the prisoners of our small minds, our worries, or our fears. We are the children of the divine, sparks of the infinite, reflections of the eternal, and our true home is the infinite ocean of love. A love that encompasses all, sustains all, and yearns for our return. As you listen to this, let your own mind become like that quiet room in Konya. Let the busy thoughts of the day dissolve into the soft, rhythmic scratching of the pen. The whisper of ancient wisdom being transcribed, etched onto the page, and into the fabric of your being. Allow the gentle hum of the universe to settle around you, and the warm, golden light of the crate to illuminate the quiet corners of your soul. Imagine the scent of ancient parchment, the subtle sweetness of beeswax from the lamp, the distant, melancholic lament of the ney flute, weaving through the starlit desert sky, carrying the echoes of Rumi's profound yearning and infinite love. You are safe, you are held, enveloped in a timeless embrace, a sanctuary of peace where the boundaries between past and present, speaker and listener, gently blur. And you are drifting, slowly, into the quiet sanctuary of the heart, where all wisdom resides and all anxieties fade into the gentle, rhythmic breath of eternity. Chapter 6, The Dance of the Cosmos, the Sama. In the heart of Konya, a city cradled by ancient mountains and whispered legends, a new ritual was born, a profound communion, a ritual of movement that transcended the physical, of music that spoke to the deepest chambers of the soul, and of an absolute surrender that dissolved the boundaries between self and cosmos. The Sama, the sacred ceremony of the whirling dervishes, a dance born from the very fabric of existence. For Rumi, the luminous poet and mystic, the spiritual path was never just silent contemplation. It demanded the engagement of the whole being, body, mind, and soul. He perceived that the entire universe was in constant ecstatic movement, a divine ballet unfolding. Consider the night sky. Stars and planets spin in their silent orbits. The earth beneath your feet. Seasons turn in rhythmic cycles. The river flows ceaselessly, spinning in gentle whirlpools. Even tiny dust motes caught in sunlight appear to spin and dance, revealing the microcosm mirroring the macrocosm. Rumi saw this omnipresent movement not as mere physics, but as a prayer, a physical manifestation of the boundless, unconditional love that holds the entire cosmos together. It was the universe's ceaseless hymn of devotion. He once said, "The heavens spin because they are in love. The earth turns because it is in love, and we who are born of this love, we must join the dance. We must become the dance itself." The true origin of the Sama is whispered to have blossomed from a moment of profound revelation, one ordinary day in the bustling goldsmiths' market of Konya. Rumi was walking through this busy market. Suddenly, his ears, attuned to the subtle harmonies of existence, caught the rhythmic, metallic sound of the goldsmith's hammers, beating out sheets of gold. Clink, 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 clink. Clink, clink. To the casual passerby, it was merely the ordinary noise of a busy marketplace. But to Rumi's sensitive heart, it was far more. It was a song of praise, a divine mantra. He heard the hammers repeating, with each resonant strike, the sacred name of God. Allah, 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 a timeless rhythm resonating with the very pulse of creation. His heart, already a vessel overflowing with divine love, began to beat in perfect, resonant harmony with this rhythm. His soul was filled with overwhelming, ecstatic joy. Right there, in the middle of the dusty market street, Rumi, unburdened by self-consciousness, began to spin. He opened his arms wide, as if to embrace the entire universe, and he began to turn. Round, his simple robes billowing out around him like a blooming flower. He spun with a look of pure, radiant peace on his face, completely lost to the physical world, utterly dissolved in the luminous presence of the divine. In that moment, he was not Rumi, the scholar, the poet, the teacher. He was simply a channel, a vessel for the cosmic dance. This sacred, spontaneous act was the birth of the Sama, a practice that would later be formalized by Rumi's devoted son, Sultan Walad, and would become the signature, transformative practice of the Mevlevi Sufi order, carrying Rumi's ecstatic vision through generations. Every single detail of the Sama is imbued with deep, profound spiritual symbolism. Each gesture, each article of clothing, a silent lesson in the journey of the soul. When the dervishes first enter the Semahain, the hall where the ceremony takes place, they wear long black cloaks. These black cloaks represent the grave, the dark tomb of the ego, the self-centeredness that must be transcended. Beneath these cloaks, they wear tall brown felt hats known as tsik. These hats represent the tombstone of the ego, a solemn acknowledgement of the death of the lower self, the small I, allowing the greater self to emerge. They stand in silence, often with their arms crossed over their chests, a posture that represents the number one, symbolizing the absolute unity of God, the Tawhid, and their submission to this singular truth. Then, as the ethereal music of the ney flute begins its soft, circular breathing, and the hypnotic rhythm of the drum starts to pulse, a transformation begins. They slowly, deliberately shed their black cloaks. It is a beautiful, deeply symbolic rebirth, a shedding of the earthly shell. They step out of the grave of their small individual shelves, revealing the garments beneath, long, flowing white skirts called tenure. These white skirts represent the shroud of the resurrected soul, pure and unblemished, ready to embrace its divine nature. They step forward one by one with quiet dignity. They bow reverently to their master, the sheikh, and then, with a grace that seems to defy gravity, they begin to spin. They spin primarily on their left foot, using it as an anchor, a pivot point. This grounded foot represents their unwavering connection to the physical earth. It is the foundation, but their right foot moves them around, stepping rhythmically, turning them in a continuous, graceful circle, propelling them into the cosmic dance. As they turn, their arms open wide, reaching out into the vastness. The right hand is held high, the palm turned upward toward the heavens. This posture represents their absolute readiness to receive divine grace, boundless love, and the pure light that pours down ceaselessly from the Creator. It is an act of profound receptivity. The left hand, in contrast, is held lower, the palm turned gently downward toward the earth. This represents their sacred role as a channel, a conduct. They do not keep the divine love and light for themselves. Instead, they allow it to flow through their open hearts, down their arms, and out into the physical world, blessing the earth and all of humanity. A continuous cycle of receiving and giving. As they spin, they tilt their heads slightly to the right, resting their cheek gently against their shoulder. This posture represents the profound surrender of the intellect. They are letting go of their busy minds, their logical thoughts, their analytical worries. In this moment, they are allowing the heart to lead, to guide them, trusting its intuitive wisdom. They turn and turn and turn, a circle of pure, luminous white light spinning in the hushed, almost dark hall, a living constellation of devotion. And yet they do not become dizzy. Their eyes are half closed, focused inward on the quiet, unchanging center of their own being. It is in this profound stillness, at the very core of their essence, that they have found the unwavering calm. A paradox of movement and stillness. They spin in harmony with the distant stars. They spin in harmony with the patient, rhythmic turning of the earth. In this sacred dance, they are no longer separate individuals. They have dissolved into the dance. They have become the dance itself, a timeless expression of divine unity. As you lie here tonight, in the gentle embrace of your own quiet space, let your mind, if it wishes, join that gentle cosmic spin. Feel the slow, rhythmic turning of the earth beneath you, carrying you through the quiet dark of the night, a silent cradle rocking you towards slumber. Remember, there is an anchor, a quiet, unchanging center within you, a sanctuary of peace. No matter how much the world around you may spin, no matter how many thoughts may swirl, you are safe, you are anchored, and you can let go, allowing the currents of sleep to carry you softly. In the Masnavi, Rumi was a master storyteller, a weaver of tales that shimmered with timeless truth and gentle wit. He understood that the grandest cosmic mysteries often reveal themselves not in complex treatises, but in the simple, overlooked moments of our daily lives. He knew that the deepest, most profound truths of the soul are often best understood through simple, everyday stories. Parables that make us smile, make us think, and gently open our hearts. These narratives are like ancient, weathered stones in a quiet stream, each one smoothed by the currents of time, revealing a quiet wisdom that transcends the ages. They whisper secrets of compassion, patience, and the boundless nature of the divine, inviting us to look beyond the surface of things, to peel back the layers of the ordinary and discover the extraordinary, beating heart within. Let us listen tonight to one of his most famous stories, the parable of the elephant in the dark, a tale that gently illuminates the limitations of our perception and the vastness of the truth we often strive to grasp. Imagine, if you will, the cool mountain breeze of Konya, carrying the scent of sweet apricots and blooming jasmine as this story unfolds. There was once a group of curious travelers who had brought an elephant from the distant, mystical lands of India, a creature of immense size and gentle power, unlike anything seen before in this town. They exhibited it in a dark room, a chamber devoid of any light, in a town where the people had never encountered such a wondrous beast. This was a time before the widespread sharing of images, a time when direct experience, however limited, was the only way to know. The townspeople, their hearts alight with an almost childlike curiosity, were incredibly eager. They flocked to the dark room, each person eager to find out what this wondrous beast looked like. But because the room was cloaked in an impenetrable, velvety blackness, they could not see the elephant with their eyes. Their usual means of perception were rendered useless. They had to rely instead on their most primal sense of touch, reaching out into the unknown. One by one, with a mixture of trepidation and excitement, they entered the silent, dark room, each person extending their hands, their fingers trembling slightly, to feel the creature that stood before them. The first person, a man of quick judgments, reached out into the void and by chance touched the elephant's trunk. He felt its long, thick, muscular shape, a living, powerful column, moving slowly and deliberately in the encompassing dark. The texture was surprisingly supple, yet immensely strong, like a coiled serpent of immense scale. He came out of the room, his voice echoing with conviction. "The elephant," he declared, "is like a massive living water pipe, flexible and strong, capable of drawing water from a deep well." His mind, limited by its immediate sensation, had formed a complete picture. The second person, a woman known for her delicate touch, then entered the dark room. She reached out her hand, moving slowly, cautiously, and felt the broad, thin expanse of the elephant's ear. She felt its wide, flat, and surprisingly delicate shape, a soft, leathery membrane flapping gently, almost rhythmically, in the cool, still air of the chamber. She came out, her brow furrowed in disagreement. "No, no. The first man is entirely mistaken. The elephant is not like a pipe at all. It is like a large, beautiful fan, perhaps for fanning royalty on a hot day." Her experience was equally valid, yet entirely different. A third person, a sturdy, practical man, went in. He reached down, his fingers seeking something solid, and touched one of the elephant's legs. He felt its thick, round, solid form, like the trunk of an ancient tree, planted firmly and immovably on the cold stone floor. The immense weight and stability of it filled his perception. He came out, a wry smile playing on his lips, and laughed at the others. "You are both quite wrong. The elephant is like a mighty pillar, solid and unchanging, holding up a great temple, a foundation of immense strength." A fourth person, a woman of graceful bearing, entered next. She reached out, her hands sweeping across a vast expanse, and felt the elephant's broad back. She felt its wide, high, curved surface, an almost mountainous landscape of warm, living flesh. She came out, her eyes wide with a sense of wonder. "None of you truly understand. The elephant is like a high leather throne, broad and grand, fit for a king, a place of power and serene majesty." Each of these people, in their solitary, unlit encounter, had touched a genuine part of the elephant. And each of them was telling the absolute truth about what they had experienced, about the fragment of reality their senses had perceived. Yet, because they had only experienced a part, a mere sliver of the magnificent whole, they found themselves arguing with each other in the dark, each convinced that they had grasped the singular correct answer, the complete picture of this mysterious creature. They were trapped not by the darkness of the room, but by the darkness of their own limited perspective. Rumi, with his characteristic gentle wisdom, smiles through his poetry, and he whispers to us, if each of them had held a single, flickering candle in their hand, a tiny flame of understanding, a spark of shared light, The differences would have vanished like morning mist. They would have seen that all these seemingly disparate parts belong to one magnificent, beautiful whole, a creature far more complex and wondrous than any single description could convey. The candle, Rumi suggests, is not just illumination, but empathy, a willingness to see beyond one's own immediate truth. The elephant, Rumi teaches us, is the truth, the divine, the ultimate, boundless reality of the universe. It is the sacred, interconnected web of all existence, vast and multifaceted. And the dark room, in its profound symbolism, is our limited human world. Our finite minds, our individual experiences, our cultural lenses, our cherished beliefs that often keep us from seeing the grand tapestry. We reach out, often blindly, in the dark of our lives, touching a small part of the truth, a fragment of the divine. We touch a concept, a belief system, a personal experience, a spiritual teaching, and we cling to it, sometimes with fierce conviction, convinced that we have found the whole elephant, that our small piece is the entirety of the sacred. In this conviction, we argue, we divide ourselves into factions, we build walls of dogma and judgment, forgetting the shared humanity that binds us. We miss the harmonious symphony because we are so focused on a single note. But if we could only light the candle of the heart, the candle of love and humility, of open-mindedness and compassionate understanding, a flame fed by the recognition of our shared journey, we would see that our different experiences are not contradictions, not reasons for conflict. They are simply different facets of the same beautiful diamond, each reflecting the light in its own unique, precious way. They are different paths leading to the same boundless ocean, different languages describing the same ineffable wonder. Let us listen to another gentle story from the Masnavi, a tale that speaks of a different kind of freedom, a different kind of awakening. The story of the merchant and his beloved parrot, a parable that delves into the subtle cages we build for ourselves and the surprising ways we can find liberation. There was once a wealthy merchant in the bustling, sun-drenched city of Konya. He kept a beautiful emerald green parrot in a gleaming golden cage within his opulent shop. The parrot, with its iridescent feathers and bright, intelligent eyes, had a sweet, melodic voice and possessed the remarkable ability to speak many languages. It was the merchant's pride and joy, a living jewel, a source of constant amusement and companionship. One day, the merchant, a seasoned traveler, was preparing to embark on a long and arduous journey to India. He gathered his loyal servants and asked each of them what cherished gift they would like him to bring back. Then, with a special tenderness, he went to the golden cage and addressed his beloved parrot. "And you, my sweet bird, my feathered companion, what gift, what treasure can I bring back for you from the lush green forests of India, your ancestral home?" The parrot, perched gracefully on its golden swing, looked at the merchant with its bright, clever eyes. A moment of silence passed, filled only by the gentle rustle of its feathers. It spoke, its voice clear and resonant. "My dear master, I do not desire any gold or rare spices, but when you travel through the green forests of India and your eyes alight upon the wild, free parrots flying in the treetops, I beg you to stop, speak to them. Tell them that there is a parrot in Konya who loves them deeply, but who is trapped in a golden cage, longing with every beat of its heart for the boundless freedom of the forest. Ask them with genuine curiosity if it is fair that they fly free in the sun-drenched sky while I pine away in this gilded prison. Just deliver this message, this heartfelt plea, and please bring me back their answer, whatever it may be." The parrot's words carried a subtle yearning, a hidden pain beneath the surface of its cheerful demeanor. The merchant, touched by the parrot's earnest request, promised to deliver the message, unaware of the profound wisdom embedded within this simple plea. He traveled to India. He completed his business, his mind often returning to the parrot's unusual request. And as he was returning, his caravan laden with goods, he passed through a lush, vibrant green forest. He looked up, his gaze drawn by a flash of emerald, and saw a flock of wild green parrots, their plumage brilliant against the verdant canopy, sitting in the high branches of a great banyan tree, chattering and playing in the warm, golden sunlight. The merchant, remembering his promise, stopped his horse. He called out to the wild birds, his voice carrying through the trees, delivering his beloved parrot's message word for word, a faithful messenger of a yearning heart. But as soon as he finished speaking, a silence fell upon the flock. Then one of the wild parrots, perched highest on a branch, began to tremble violently. Its bright eyes closed slowly, as if a great weariness had overcome it. Its vibrant wings drooped, losing all vitality, and it fell, a silent green arrow, from the high branch, landing softly, tragically, on the forest floor, utterly lifeless. Dead? The merchant was horrified, a cold dread seizing his heart. He felt a deep, heavy guilt. He thought, "What have I done? My words, intended as a kindness, have killed this poor, innocent bird." He continued his journey home, the image of the fallen bird haunting his thoughts, the joyous anticipation of return now clouded by a profound sorrow. With a heavy heart weighted by unspoken regret, the merchant returned to Konya. He gave his eagerly awaiting servants their gifts, their faces alight with joy. And then, with a palpable sense of dread, he went to the golden cage. The parrot, sensing his presence, hopped onto its perch, its eyes sparkling with expectation, and asked, "Welcome home, master. Tell me, please, did you deliver my message? What did my brothers and sisters in India say? What wisdom did they impart?" The merchant sighed, a heavy sound with regret, looking down at the intricate patterns on the floor, unable to meet the parrot's hopeful gaze. "My dear friend," he said, his voice low and filled with sorrow, "I deeply wish you had not asked me to deliver that message. It brought only tragedy. When I spoke your words to the wild parrots, one of them was so overcome with grief, so profoundly affected by the news of your plight, that it fell from the tree and died on the spot, right before my very eyes." As soon as the merchant finished speaking, his mournful words hanging in the air, the parrot in the golden cage began to tremble, just as the wild bird had. Its bright eyes closed slowly, a profound stillness settling upon its form. Its vibrant feathers ruffled, as if a final breath was escaping. And it fell from its perch, landing with a soft thud on the floor of the cage. Stiff and utterly lifeless, the merchant let out a cry of anguish. He rushed to the cage, his hands trembling as he fumbled with the latch, tears, hot and bitter, falling onto the parrot's still green feathers. "My beautiful bird," he wept, "what have I done? First the bird in India, and now you, my cherished companion. My tongue, despite my good intentions, has brought only death and sorrow." He felt the weight of his words, the profound consequence of his actions, even if unintended. He gently, reverently lifted the seemingly lifeless parrot out of the golden cage, its small body surprisingly light in his hands. And he carried it with utmost care to the wooden table outside, preparing to bury it with honor. But as soon as the parrot's small, still body touched the unyielding surface of the table, it suddenly opened its eyes, bright and full of life. It flapped its magnificent wings with a burst of vibrant energy. And it soared upward, a streak of emerald green, up to the high rafters of the shop, completely alive, utterly free, and filled with a radiant joy. The merchant stared up, his jaw slack, in utter bewilderment. "What is the meaning of this?" he asked, his voice a disbelieving whisper. "You were dead. How are you flying? What miracle has transpired here?" The parrot, now perched high above, looked down at the merchant with a gentle, wise smile in its bright eyes, a look of profound understanding that transcended its small form. It spoke, its voice clear and joyful, echoing through the shop. "My dear master, the bird in India was not truly dead. It was a wise teacher, a messenger of the boundless freedom I longed for. It was sending me a profound message, a hidden lesson, a secret code for liberation. It showed me, through its selfless act, that the only way to escape the golden cage of my captivity, the only way to break free from the illusion of my gilded prison, was to die to the expectations, to the performance, to the comfortable familiarity of my confinement. It taught me that as long as I performed, as long as I spoke in my sweet voice to please others, to entertain, to fulfill a role, I would remain a prisoner, however comfortable the cage. I had to die to my old self, to the identity of the performing parrot, to find my true freedom, my authentic existence." The parrot then whistled a sweet, joyful melody, a song of liberation that filled the air with pure, unadulterated bliss. and with a final, graceful sweep of its wings, it flew out of the open window, a vibrant speck against the endless blue sky, heading back to the green forests of India, to the wild, free life it had always yearned for. This story, Rumi tells us, is more than just a tale of a bird. It is the secret of the spiritual path, the profound journey of the soul. The golden cage in its gleaming allure is a powerful symbol. It represents our ego, our social status, our carefully constructed persona, our constant performance for the world, our insatiable need for approval and validation from others. We often believe we are safe and happy in our golden cages, adorned with the comforts and praises of the world. But in truth, we are prisoners, bound by invisible chains of expectation and self-limitation. The only way to find true freedom, the only way to truly fly in the infinite sky of the divine, to experience the boundless expanse of our true nature, is to die before we die, to let go of our old performative selves, to shed the skin of who we think we should be, and to wake up to the free, wild spirit that lives eternally within us, waiting patiently to be unleashed. This is the transformative journey, the sacred alchemy of the soul. As you drift into sleep tonight, let your own parrot fly free. Let go of the cage of your daily roles, your responsibilities. As the night deepens and the world around you falls into a profound, quiet sleep, let us step together into the deepest, most sacred chamber of Rumi's philosophy. The mystery of Fana and Baka, these are two ancient Arabic words whispered through generations of seekers, used by the Sufi mystics to describe the ultimate destination of the spiritual journey. Not a place to arrive at, but a state of being to embody. Fana means annihilation, the complete dissolution of the small, limited ego, the melting away of the I and the me, a gentle surrender. And Baka means subsistence, the eternal, peaceful life that remains when the ego is gone. The state of living in perfect unity with the divine. A quiet, unwavering presence. To our modern minds, annihilation sounds frightening. We spend our entire lives building up our egos. We protect our identities. We defend our opinions. And we cling desperately to our small, separate sense of self. We fear losing control. We fear disappearing. But Rumi looks at us with eyes of deep, infinite compassion. And he whispers, "Do not fear the melting. My dear one, do not fear letting go. The snow does not fear the sun when it melts into the flowing river. The drop of water does not fear the ocean when it falls into the deep blue waves, knowing it is returning home. Consider a single drop of water, hanging, translucent and perfect, on the edge of a velvet leaf after a soft morning rain. The drop is beautiful, clear, and utterly perfect in its miniature world. It reflects the vastness of the sky above, holding a universe within its tiny sphere. It has its own precise shape, its own delicate boundary, its own separate identity. But the sun rises higher, its golden rays growing warmer. The air around the leaf becomes softer, and the drop, feeling an irresistible pull, begins to slip. Slowly, it detaches from the leaf, down, into the cool, flowing waters of a great ancient river. At the very moment the drop touches the river's surface, its delicate boundary disappears. Its precise shape is gone, its separate identity, once so clearly defined, is annihilated. This, my dear friend, is Fana, the sweet, liberating death of the drop's individual existence. But is the drop truly gone? Has it been destroyed? No. Rumi says with a knowing smile, the drop has not been destroyed. It has simply become the river. It now flows with the immense, unstoppable power of a billion drops united. It merges with the collective consciousness of the water. It waters the green valleys. It carves through the hard, ancient stone of mountains. It makes its slow, deliberate way to the vast, infinite ocean, its ultimate destiny. It has lost its small, fragile boundaries, only to find that its true, boundless nature is the water itself. This, in its profound simplicity, is Baka, the eternal, peaceful life of the drop as the ocean, a timeless continuation, a sacred belonging. Rumi, in his exquisite wisdom, wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a single drop." A paradox, perhaps, to the logical mind, but to the heart that understands love, it is the most profound truth. How, then, do we practice this melting, this gentle dissolution in our daily lives? Rumi teaches us that the secret, the key, the ultimate solvent is love. Love, in its purest, most expansive form, is the ultimate alchemy. It is the only force in the universe powerful enough to melt the cold, hard ice of the ego, the only flame that can transform separateness into unity. When you truly love someone, when you gaze upon the innocent face of a sleeping child, or hold the hand of a cherished partner, or simply lose yourself in the breathtaking beauty of a fiery sunset, your focus shifts away from yourself. For a precious moment, your worries, your plans, your pride, and your self-consciousness disappear. You are no longer thinking about me, the small separate entity. You are completely absorbed, utterly immersed in the beauty, the presence, the essence of the beloved. In that moment of pure, selfless love, that exquisite surrender, you have experienced a taste of fauna. You have, for a fleeting, sacred instant, stepped out of the intricate, self-made prison of your small self, and you have breathed the sweet, free air of the divine. You have touched the boundless. Rumi's whole life was a living, breathing demonstration of this melting, this constant, passionate dissolution. When he met Shams, the wandering dervish from Tabriz, his scholarly ego, meticulously built over years of study and teaching, was annihilated. Like a grand library consumed by a divine fire, leaving only ash and light, Shams was the mirror in which Rumi saw his true, infinite reflection. When Shams, his soul companion, mysteriously disappeared, Rumi's grief melted him even further. A profound sorrow that became a river of poetry, washing away all remaining vestiges of his separate identity. Until there was no Rumi left as he once knew him. There was only the voice of the beloved, echoing through the empty chambers of his heart, speaking through his lips, singing through his pen. He wrote with the humility of one who has truly vanished. I have played the game of I and you for so long, but now I see that I am neither I nor you. I am the love that flows between us. I am the sacred space where the two become one, where every distinction dissolves into a single luminous essence. This journey of fauna and baka is not a singular event, but a lifelong dance. A gentle unfolding, it is the wisdom of the ancient trees, quietly shedding their leaves each autumn, knowing new life will emerge in spring. It is the patient erosion of a river, shaping the landscape not through force, but through persistent, loving flow. Think of the desert mystics, those quiet souls who walked under the vast, starlit sky. They shed the layers of worldly attachment, the clamor of identity, until they became like the desert itself, vast, empty, yet teeming with a hidden, profound life. They embraced fauna by letting go of possessions, of societal roles, of even the need for recognition. And in that emptiness, baka bloomed, a deep, unwavering connection to the divine, a sense of boundless peace that transcended the physical world. The quiet wisdom of fauna and baka is not about losing yourself in a frightening void, but about discovering your true, expansive nature. It is about recognizing that your individual song is part of the grand symphony of existence, that your unique drop is an integral part of the boundless ocean. As you lie here tonight, in the comforting embrace of darkness and quiet, let your own ego melt away, like a block of ice in a warm, gentle spring, slowly returning to its liquid, flowing essence. You do not need to protect your identity tonight. The day's roles, the masks you wear, can be gently set aside. You do not need to defend your opinions or plan your future with anxious intensity or worry about your past with regret. You can let go of the I that has carried you through the day. Let yourself slip from the leaf of your worries, your anxieties, your self-definitions, down into the deep, quiet river of the night. Allow the cool, gentle current to carry you. Feel yourself dissolving into the soft, velvet darkness. Feel yourself becoming one with the quiet room around you, one with the vast, starry sky above, one with the silent, breathing earth beneath you, one with the gentle rhythm of your own heart. You are not disappearing. You are not lost. You are simply returning to the ocean, to the boundless source where you have always belonged, where your true, eternal nature resides, waiting patiently for your return. In this profound letting go, you are not diminished, but expanded, becoming more of who you truly are, boundless, peaceful, and utterly at home. In the month of December, in the year 1273, The world outside the ancient city walls of Konya was hushed, holding its breath in the deep embrace of winter. The winter cold had settled over the high plains of Anatolia, painting the landscape with an ethereal beauty. A soft white blanket of freshly fallen snow covered the majestic turquoise domes, their intricate patterns now softened by nature's gentle hand. And the sturdy stone walls of Konya, standing sentinel against the crisp air. Within one of those quiet, ancient buildings, in a humble room bathed in the soft glow of flickering oil lamps, Jalal al-Din Rumi, now an old man of 66 years, lay on his simple, familiar bed. His physical body, a vessel that had carried such profound wisdom and boundless love, was weak. A relentless fever burned gently in his veins, a quiet fire that signaled a nearing transition. He knew, with a deep, unwavering certainty that only the truly wise possess, that his time in this physical world, this earthly journey, was gracefully coming to an end. His room, usually a haven of serene contemplation, was now filled with a tender, palpable grief. His most devoted disciples, their faces etched with sorrow. His beloved family, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of impending loss. And his most cherished companion, Hussam al-Din Shalabi, were gathered around him. They were weeping, their tears flowing freely, each drop a testament to the profound love and reverence they held for their spiritual father. Their guiding star, their luminous light in an often dark world. But Rumi himself, despite the visible fragility of his physical form, was filled with an extraordinary, radiant, and utterly joyful peace. It was a peace that transcended all earthly understanding. His eyes, though weary, were bright, sparkling with an inner luminescence. A gentle, knowing smile played softly on his lips, a smile that held the secrets of the cosmos and the quiet joy of homecoming. He looked at his weeping disciples, his gaze tender, compassionate, and full of an ancient wisdom. And he spoke to them in his soft, rasping voice, each word a precious pearl, carefully offered. He said, "Do not weep for me, my dear ones. Do not say farewell when I am gone. For this is not a day of sadness. This is not an end. This, my beloved friends, this is my wedding night." And in those final sacred hours, with the veil between worlds growing thin, he composed a beautiful, timeless poem, a final teaching, a song of profound love and liberation, which Hussam al-Din, his faithful scribe, painstakingly wrote down with trembling hands. Each stroke of the reed pen's a heartfelt prayer. He said, his voice whispered, yet resonating with the strength of eternal truth, "When you see my corpse carried out, do not weep. Do not say he is gone, he is gone. For that is a moment of union, a sacred embrace, not of separation. When you lay me in the grave, do not say farewell, for the grave is but a veil, a thin curtain hiding the joyful gathering of the soul. When you see the seed sown on the earth, does it not rise again with new life? Transformed and vibrant, why should you doubt the seed of a human soul, destined for an even grander blossoming?" Rumi did not perceive death as an end, a finality, but rather as the ultimate liberation, the grand unveiling. For him, the physical body was like a heavy wool coat, a necessary garment for this earthly journey, but eventually to be lovingly cast aside when the warm, gentle breath of spring arrives. The soul, in his profound wisdom, was like a beautiful, wild bird, vibrant and free, for a time, held within the delicate cage of the physical body. And death was simply the opening of that cage door, a tender release, allowing the bird to soar freely, to fly back to its true home, in the infinite, boundless sky. On the evening of December 17th, 1273, as the sun, a magnificent ball of fire, was gently setting behind the snowy peaks of the mountains surrounding Konya, painting the vast sky in breathtaking shades of deep violet, fiery orange, and molten gold, Rumi took his final peaceful breath, a quiet exhalation that carried his spirit beyond the earthly realm. The dervish had returned to the dance, the cosmic dance of creation and dissolution. The drop had fallen into the boundless ocean, not to be lost, but to become one with the vastness. The next morning, the ancient city of Konya, a melting pot of cultures and faiths, witnessed a scene that had never been seen before, nor since. The funeral of Rumi was not a somber, quiet affair. shrouded in the usual silence of grief. It was instead a massive celebration of unity, a spontaneous outpouring of love and reverence that defied all boundaries. People of every faith, every background, and every social status poured into the cobbled streets to follow his bier, a river of humanity flowing with one heart. There were devout Muslims reciting the sacred verses of the Quran, their voices a melodic chant. Christians chanting ancient psalms in Greek and Latin, their hymns echoing through the winter air. Jews singing soulful Hebrew hymns, their voices carrying centuries of devotion. And Sufis, Rumi's own spiritual family, playing the hauntingly beautiful ney flute, its melancholic lament weaving through the joyous cacophony. And the rhythmic beat of the drum, a heartbeat connecting all present. The Seljuk Sultan, a powerful ruler accustomed to strict protocols, was utterly amazed by this unprecedented gathering, this spontaneous symphony of humanity. He approached the Christian and Jewish leaders, his expression a mixture of awe and curiosity, and asked them why they, followers of different faiths, were weeping so openly for a Muslim master. Their answer, profound and simple, cut through the cultural and religious divides, uniting them all in a shared humanity. He was not just yours. He belonged to us all. He was the bread of our lives, nourishing our souls. He was the sun that warmed us, illuminating our path. In him, we saw the true image of the divine, reflected in its purest form. To this very day, in the sacred tradition of the Mevlevi Sufi order, the anniversary of Rumi's passing, December 17th, is not called a day of mourning, of sorrowful remembrance. It is called Shebi Arus, the night of union, the wedding night. It is a celebration, not of loss, but of profound homecoming. It is celebrated with music that touches the soul, with poetry that elevates the spirit, and with the sacred whirling dance of the Sama, a meditative movement that mirrors the cosmic dance of the planets. They celebrate the day their beloved master was finally united with his ultimate beloved, the source of all love, the divine essence from which he came. As you listen to this quiet story, let the profound peace of that wedding night, that sacred union, wrap around you like a soft, comforting shawl. Feel the complete safety of letting go, of surrendering. Death, Rumi teaches us with such gentle wisdom, is not something to fear, but a natural, beautiful transition. And neither is the small death of our daily sleep. Every night, as the world outside grows quiet, when we gently close our eyes, we practice the ancient art of surrender. We let go of our bodies, our persistent thoughts, our carefully constructed identities, and we trust the universe, the vast, loving intelligence that orchestrates all things, to hold us, to nurture us, to guide us through the darkness. Let yourself sink into that boundless trust, that quiet knowing. You are a seed, a precious, unique seed, planted in the quiet, fertile dark of the night, held by the earth's gentle embrace, and you will rise tomorrow, fresh, renewed, and filled with the soft, gentle light of a new day. 750 years have passed since that snowy December night in Konya. The empires of the Seljuks and the Mongols have long since crumbled into dust, their once mighty fortresses now whispering memories in the wind. The high stone walls of Konya have weathered away, smoothed by the patient caress of time and forgotten rains. And the busy marketplace, where Rumi first spun to the sound of the goldsmith's hammers, a symphony of creation and commerce, is now a quiet page in history books, its vibrant echoes preserved only in the deep imagination of those who seek them. Yet the voice of Jalal al-Din Rumi has not been silenced. In fact, his voice is louder today and has traveled further than he could have ever imagined in his lifetime. Like a timeless river, it flows across continents and cultures, nourishing spirits and calming hearts. His poems have been translated into dozens of languages, each word a delicate bridge connecting souls across time and space. They are read in busy coffee shops in New York, in quiet meditation halls in Tokyo, in bustling universities in London, and in the starlit courtyards of Iran and Turkey, where the scent of sweet jasmine drifts on the evening breeze, carrying his verses on its gentle current. In the West, this 13th century Islamic scholar, often perceived through a romanticized lens, has become one of the best-selling poets of the modern era, a testament to the enduring power of his message. Why? Why does a voice from medieval Anatolia speak so deeply, so profoundly to our high-tech, fast-paced modern world? Rumi's message is a universal medicine for the modern soul, a balm for the weary heart. It is a gentle reminder of something ancient and essential that we often forget in our hurried lives. We live in a world of division, a world of borders seen and unseen that separate us, of walls, both physical and metaphorical, that rise between hearts, of labels constantly applied and reapplied that define and confine us, and of endless digital noise, a ceaseless cacophony that drowns out the quiet whispers of our inner wisdom. We are connected by fiber optic cables, weaving an intricate web across the globe, yet paradoxically, we often feel more isolated, more anxious, and lonelier than ever before. A profound paradox of our age. And into this noisy, fractured world, where the soul often feels parched and adrift, Rumi's voice whispers like a cool, gentle breeze on a hot summer afternoon, a breath of fresh air carrying the scent of distant mountains and forgotten gardens. He says, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again, come." These famous lines, etched with profound compassion and understanding, are carved over the entrance of Rumi's tomb in Konya, a timeless invitation to all humanity. They are the very essence of his living legacy, a testament to a spirit that transcends all boundaries. It is a message of radical, unconditional welcome, a gentle embrace for every soul. Rumi does not ask for your credentials, for your achievements, or your failures. He does not ask for your religion, your nationality, your race, or your political beliefs. He does not judge your past mistakes or your present weaknesses, for he understands the human journey with all its stumbles and triumphs. He simply recognizes you as a fellow traveler, a fellow reed flute longing for its home, for the source of the melody it carries. He sees beyond the surface into the heart of your being. He reminds us that beneath all our outer differences, our different languages, our different names for God, our different cultures, we are all made of the same divine water, the same essential essence that flows through all creation. We all share the same human heart, beating with universal hopes and fears. And in this profound understanding, we are all walking each other home, a journey of shared humanity. The Mevlevi order, which Rumi's son, Sultan Veled, founded to carry on his father's teachings and preserve his luminous spirit, meticulously preserved this spirit of tolerance and unconditional love through the centuries. Like a precious flame guarded against the winds of time, in their lodges, known as tekes, nestled in various corners of the ancient world, they welcomed travelers of all faiths and origins, of all social standing. They provided free food, simple yet nourishing to hungry souls, warm beds offering solace and rest to weary bodies, and profound spiritual comfort to anyone who knocked on their door, seeking refuge or wisdom. They became islands of peace and sanctuary in a world often torn by religious and political wars, a beacon of hope where humanity could find common ground. They understood that true spirituality transcends dogma, embracing the shared longing for connection and meaning. Today, Rumi's tomb in Konya, the Mevlana Museum, is still a place of sacred pilgrimage for millions of people from all over the world, a magnetic center for seekers of truth and solace. They come from east and west, from north and south, from bustling cities and quiet villages, their hearts drawn by an invisible thread. They stand side by side under the great green-tiled dome, a symbol of eternal life and growth. Their gazes resting upon the wooden sarcophagus where the master lies buried, his physical form returned to the earth, but his spirit soaring. Many of them weep, not out of sadness, but out of a deep, overwhelming sense of being understood, of being seen, of being loved across the vast boundaries of time and space. A profound communion with wisdom that transcends words. As you listen to tonight, nestled in the quiet comfort of your own space, realize that you are an integral part of this living legacy, a thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of Rumi's enduring influence. The love that Rumi wrote about with such passionate eloquence, the light that Shams of Tabriz ignited in his heart, transforming a scholar into a mystic. It is not a historical relic, dusty and confined to the past. It is a living, breathing reality, a vibrant energy that pulses through the universe. And it is alive within you, right now, in this very moment, every time you choose compassion over judgment, extending kindness to yourself and others. Every time you choose silence over noise, allowing the gentle wisdom of your inner self to emerge. Every time you let go of your worries and trust the deeper flow of life, surrendering to the currents of existence. You are walking Rumi's path. You are embodying his teachings. You are the reed flute, and the universe is playing its beautiful, peaceful song through you. A melody of connection, of harmony, of profound peace. Let the warmth of this living legacy wrap around you, like a soft cloak, woven from threads of ancient wisdom and boundless love. Feel your deep, abiding connection to the millions of souls who have found comfort, inspiration, and profound understanding in these words through the centuries. You are not alone. You are part of a vast, beautiful caravan of love, moving gently across the landscape of time, guided by an unseen hand. Drift slowly into that warm collective embrace, into the quiet knowing that you are part of something infinitely larger and more beautiful than you can ever fully comprehend. Allow yourself to become one with this timeless current of love and find your deepest rest there. Before we drift into the deep, restorative embrace of sleep, let us pause to sit by the warm, flickering embers of the Sufi fire, a fire fueled by timeless wisdom and boundless love. Let us lean in to catch a whispered secret from the ages and listen to some of Rumi's most beautiful reflections on the art of living, the dance of being human, and the sacred art of letting go. Rumi, that ancient wise soul from Konya, often spoke of the profound, transformative power of silence, a concept so often forgotten in our clamorous world. He beckoned us to remember its sacred nature. He wrote, "Silence is the language of God, all else is poor translation." Take a moment, a long, slow breath, and truly let those words settle upon your spirit. Silence is the language of God. We live in a world saturated with words, a ceaseless torrent of communication. And yet, Rumi and countless other mystics gently remind us that the deepest truths of life, the essence of existence, cannot truly be spoken. They transcend the boundaries of our vocabulary. They reside in a realm beyond articulation, a realm of pure knowing, pure being. Consider those rare moments in your own life when this truth becomes undeniable. When you are in the deepest, most restorative stages of sleep, there are no words. When you gaze into the innocent eyes of a newborn baby, there are no words. When you stand on a majestic mountain, looking out at a vast, breathtaking horizon, there are no words, only awe. In those luminous moments of profound silence, where the mind quiets and the heart expand, you are speaking, you are understanding, you are truly communicating in the most ancient tongue, the language of the divine, understood not by the ears but by the soul itself. Silence, then, is not merely the absence of sound, it is the vibrant, rich presence of a deep, unwavering peace, a crystal clear clarity that washes over the spirit. It is the sacred, boundless space where the soul can finally breathe, can finally unfurl its wings, can finally remember its true, unburdened nature. Rumi, with his boundless compassion, also spoke tenderly of the beauty of patience and the quiet wisdom found within the dark seasons of our lives, those periods of struggle, sorrow, and uncertainty. He penned these lines like a balm for a weary heart. Don't run away from grief, my friend. Look closely at it, for grief is the garden of compassion. If you keep your heart open through everything, your pain will become your greatest ally in your search for love. How often do we try to flee from our difficult feelings? We instinctively recoil from discomfort. We hide from our sadness. We distract ourselves from our anxiety. We fight against our pain, seeing it as an enemy. We are often conditioned to believe that to be truly happy, our lives must be perfect, perpetually sunny, unblemished by shadow. But Rumi, with his gentle, knowing smile, reminds us that the dark seasons, the winters of our souls, hold their own unique, profound purpose. They are not mistakes. They are not punishments. They are vital parts of the grand, unfolding tapestry of life. He offered a tender, yet powerful metaphor, comparing the human heart, your heart, dear listener, to a field of fertile soil. Imagine this field. If that field were to experience only relentless sunshine, day after day without cease, the soil would inevitably become hard, dry, and cracked, parched, and unyielding. In such conditions, no seeds could take root, no delicate flowers could bloom, no life could truly flourish. But then, with the inevitability of nature's grand design, the dark clouds begin to roll in. The vibrant blue yields to shades of gray, and the rain begins to fall. Gently at first, then with a steady, rhythmic cadence. It is cold, it is wet, it is dark. To the parched soil, in that immediate moment, it might feel like a tragedy, an unwelcome intrusion. And yet, Rumi's wisdom reveals the profound truth. It is only because of the rain, only because of that dark, life-giving water, that the hard, resistant soil can once again become soft, pliable, fertile. It is only in the embrace of that dark, wet earth that the tiny, dormant seeds, holding all the promise of future growth, can finally crack open, can finally stir from their slumber, and begin their miraculous journey to grow into beautiful, green plants, into vibrant, blossoming life. Your grief, dear heart, your moments of sadness, your times of struggle, these are not curses, they are the soul's own rain. They are not meant to diminish you, but to deepen you. They are softening your heart, washing away the hardened layers of expectation and fear. They are making you fertile, rich with potential. They are growing your capacity for deep, boundless compassion, a compassion that extends both inward for your own precious self and outward for all of humanity. Rumi, in another of his luminous verses, offered this profound insight. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Do not, then, fear your wounds. Do not see them as failures. Do not perceive them as broken pieces that must be hidden away. No, Rumi invites us to see them differently, to see them as something sacred. They are, in truth, the open doorways, the very portals, through which the divine light, the purest, most healing essence of the universe, can stream and shine into the deepest recesses of your soul, illuminating all that was once hidden, transforming all that felt lost. And finally, as the embers of our quiet Sufi fire begin to glow with a softer, deeper warmth, Rumi spoke of the simple, yet profound joy of simply being, of existing, of allowing life to unfold without the constant need for control or understanding. He encouraged a deep, abiding trust in the inner compass. He wrote with a gentle, liberating whisper, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. Trust that pulls, dear one. Trust the quiet, persistent voice of your heart, that subtle yearning that guides you towards what truly resonates with your deepest self. It is not a voice of logic or calculation, but a voice of innate wisdom, of soul knowing. It is the current of your true north. You do not need to figure out your entire life tonight. You do not need to solve all your problems, unravel all your mysteries, or conquer all your anxieties before you allow yourself the grace of sleep. You can simply, profoundly, and with a deep sigh of relief, trust the deeper, unseen flow of the universe, the grand, benevolent current that carries all things. Trust that you are held, that you are guided. Breathe in, slowly, deeply, and feel the quiet, ancient fire of this wisdom, this gentle, comforting warmth, spreading through your chest, warming your heart, illuminating your spirit. Breathe out, softly, completely, and let go of everything else, all the striving, all the planning, all the worries. Let them drift away like smoke into the vast, understanding night. You are ready now, ready to release, ready to surrender, ready to enter the deep, peaceful sanctuary of rest, a sanctuary that awaits you, always, within the quiet chambers of your own being. And now, gentle traveler, we have reached the end of our journey and the beginning of your rest. You have walked through the starlit deserts of Khorasan, feeling the ancient sands whisper beneath your bare feet. You have found refuge in the quiet, shaded gardens of Konya, where the scent of sweet apricots mingled with the delicate perfume of jasmine. You have witnessed the meeting of the two vast oceans, not just of water, but of profound wisdom and boundless compassion. And you have watched the white dervishes spin in their silent joy, their movements a prayer, a surrender, a dance of pure, unadulterated love. Now it is time to bring all that beauty, all that peace, all that timeless wisdom home to your own heart, a sacred sanctuary awaiting your return. Let your body sink even deeper into your bed. feeling its soft embrace, a comforting hug from the earth itself. Feel the gentle, familiar weight of your head resting on the pillow, a soft cloud cradling your thoughts. Feel the unwavering support of the mattress beneath your back, a sturdy foundation holding you securely. Feel the soft, comforting warmth of the blanket wrapping around your shoulders, like a tender cloak woven from starlight and silence. You are completely supported, held in the gentle palm of the universe. You are completely safe. Nothing to fear, nothing to guard against. Let us take 3 slow, deep, conscious breaths together, each one a step closer to profound peace. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with the cool, clean air of the night. Imagine it carrying the pure essence of mountain springs and blossoming meadows. Hold it for a brief, peaceful moment, letting the stillness settle within you. And exhale, letting out a long, slow sigh. A soft release, letting go of any tension in your jaw, allowing it to soften. In your neck, letting the muscles relax. In your shoulders, feeling them drop away from your ears. A gentle cascade of letting go. Inhale again, breathing in the quiet, healing energy of Rumi's wisdom. Imagine it as a soft, golden mist entering your being, filling every cell with tranquility. This wisdom is not just words, but a deep, resonant understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. And exhale, letting go of any worries, any plans, any thoughts of tomorrow. Let them drift away like dry leaves on a river, carried effortlessly downstream, out of sight, out of mind. They are not yours to carry into this sacred space of rest. One final time, inhale deeply, feeling your chest rise gently, your heart open like a quiet bloom in the moonlight, a space of infinite welcome. And exhale, letting your whole body melt completely into the bed, becoming one with its softness, its support, a profound surrender. Let your breath find its own natural, effortless rhythm now, a silent, sacred dance. You do not need to control it anymore. Your body knows exactly how to breathe. Let it rise and fall like the slow, gentle tide of a calm, dark ocean, each wave a soft lullaby. As you breathe, imagine a beautiful, warm, golden light glowing in the very center of your chest, in the sanctuary of your heart. This is not just a light, but a living, breathing warmth. This light is the spark of the divine within you, the sacred essence that connects you to all life. It is the light that Shams saw in Rumi, a recognition of the soul's deepest truth, a mirror reflecting pure love. It is the light of pure, unconditional love, radiating from your core, an inexhaustible source. With every inhale, feel this golden light expand slightly, warming your chest from within like a quiet internal sun, spreading down into your shoulders, releasing any lingering burdens, flowing into your arms, making them heavy and peaceful. Reaching your hands, softening their grip. With every exhale, feel this warmth dissolve any remaining tightness, any lingering stress, like morning mist evaporating in the gentle sun, leaving your body feeling soft, heavy, and completely relaxed. Deeply at peace, feel the warmth spread further down through your torso, a gentle current of peace. Into your hips, releasing any stored tension. Down your legs, making them feel like liquid gold. Into your feet, grounding you to the earth, yet feeling light and free. Your entire body is now filled with this soft golden light, from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. You are glowing with the warmth of a quiet, peaceful fire, a gentle internal flame that burns steadily, offering comfort and solace. You are like the reed flute, empty of all worries, empty of all noise, and filled only with the sweet, silent breath of peace, a vessel for profound tranquility. Just as the ney flute, though hollow, becomes a voice for the soul's longing when breath passes through it. Rumi whispers to you in the silence, his voice like the soft rustle of ancient parchment, imbued with timeless wisdom. Close your eyes and let your soul fly free, unfettered by earthly concerns, light as a feather on the wind. Let it return to the garden of the beloved, a place beyond comprehension, yet deeply familiar, where there is no time, no space, only the endless ocean of love. Imagine yourself floating on the surface of that warm, gentle ocean, a vast, shimmering expanse under a desert sky. The water is deep and blue, reflecting the profound mystery of the universe. The sky above is a canopy of soft, shimmering stars, each one a tiny lamp guiding you home. The water holds you effortlessly. You do not need to swim. You do not need to move. You are simply floating, drifting, swaying gently with the slow, rhythmic pulse of the waves, cradled by the cosmic tide. Every wave carries you deeper into relaxation, dissolving the edges of your awareness, merging you with the vastness. Every wave whisper, not with sound, but with an ancient, knowing touch. You are safe. You are loved. You are whole. These words echo in the quiet chambers of your heart, a truth as old as time itself. There is nothing left to carry. No burdens, no responsibilities, no weight upon your shoulders. There is nothing left to do. No tasks, no goals, no striving. Just pure being. You can let go of the day, releasing its events like sand slipping through your fingers. You can let go of the world, allowing its clamor to fade into a distant hum. You can let go of yourself, the constructed self, the everyday self, and simply rest in your essential, peaceful nature. Let yourself melt like a drop of water into the ocean, dissolving boundaries, becoming one with let yourself dissolve into the quiet, beautiful dark, the nurturing embrace of the cosmic night, where all things are restored and renewed. Rest in the silence, a profound, resonant quiet that holds all answers. Rest in love, the pure, unconditional love that is your birthright. Rest in the wisdom of Rumi, a wisdom that guides you not with rules, but with the gentle light of understanding. Good night, peaceful traveler. May your dreams be filled with starlight and the whisper of ancient truths. Good night.